Hello and welcome. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I've been busy running my 5-day challenge last week, and currently we are hosting another challenge. This is a writing challenge. If you're interested, check out our Discord server. We are going to be doing this over the month of October, this month, November and December, and you get to set either your own word count or a preset word count. And these range from 20,000, 40,000 to 80,000. So that's what we're doing currently on the server. But as for today's video, I decided that I would do some more world building. So this will be session 9, I believe. It's been a while. I haven't actually checked my notes. So we're just going to ad lib and go from here. But it occurred to me that I haven't actually spoken too much about art or literature or indeed sagas. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. Now, I know that we spoke a little bit about fashion, although I don't remember which particular episode it was. Like I said, I don't have my notes in front of me right now. But for today's video, we're going to be looking at the two kingdoms, the magical kingdom and the non-magical kingdom. And so what does art look like? Well, for the non-magical kingdom, we could say oil paints or watercolor paints. We could say sculpture. Maybe that's wood, maybe that's stone. Now, these things are good, but I don't feel like doing that. I think that we're going to make it metal. I think that their coins are going to be works of art. And that's going to make it tricky because it means that the time and effort that goes into minting their coins means there will be a lot of time, there will be a lot of effort, and that's going to increase the value, which means as they're trading these coins around, are they going to appreciate the value of the art? Well, that's going to depend on individual to individual, but I think that they will intricately stamp their art into their coins, etching it, engraving it. And you might ask why. Well, this is going to be for a couple of purposes. Number one is to be anti-fraudulent. So getting rid of counterfeits. The more intricate it is, the harder it will be for the counterfeiters to replicate. But secondly, I think that there will be an open bounty in the non-magical kingdom on anybody who can counterfeit these coins, which is to say, if you can do it, come and work for us and we will pay you well. So I think that that's how they're going to do it. So art will be in their coinage and it will be through metal. It's also going to be in jewelry. So I think that they're going to be quite heavily adorned, but also their clothing. I think that they will have metal working on their clothes. So different threads. And I think that this will really take off with the development of the looms. And so that's going to be the non-magical kingdom. They're going to be wearing their art. They're going to be handling their art. And then there will be things like chalices and cutlery or utensils, if you prefer. And their day-to-day objects will be living art, works of art. And that will be what they do. And so it's going to be very, very practical. I don't think there are going to be very many pictures on the walls. And I don't think there will be that many sculptures. There might be one or two, mostly to commemorate people. Now, we might have some portraits, but I think that primarily it will be the clothing, it will be the coinage, it will be the jewelry. But as for the magical kingdom, that's where it's going to become a little abstract, shall we say, maybe a little surreal, because with magic, you can do many things. And I think that they're going to use magic as their art. And while over in the non-magical kingdom, they're wearing their art and they're trading their art, literally, I rather suspect that the art they have will be to sculpt with magic, but also performances. I think performance-based art using magic will be what they do. So theater and shows and their art, I think it's going to be one fusion. And I think that the product of the show will simply be a memento rather than being valued as highly as the show itself. I think the show itself will truly be valued. And so this will be the equivalent of fireworks, but also spinning and dancing and like painting, but using magic, maybe colored magic and things. And this would be the magic which isn't going into the engines. And so the magical community, because if you remember, they have developed engines to draw magic. The magical community, I think most of them will be creatives. They'll be talented artists. They'll be those who are singing. And so they'll imbue everything they do with their magic in order to make it more colorful, more vibrant. And so this will entertain the people. And that will be art. And I suppose in their darker moments, perhaps underground, not literally underground, but outlaws out of the sight of the law, there will be those who use magic in pit fights. And that will be a way of demonstrating it. And I imagine that some nobles will be in on this. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. Maybe they even host it. So that will probably be how they express their magic and their art. But what about literature? Well, if it's more about the performance for the magical kingdom, would they have illuminated manuscripts? Well, maybe they would. Maybe it would be good for them to actually do that. But would they be as valuable as the actual performance? After all, it is simply a memento. It's capturing what it was, but it also has knowledge contained and stories. So I think that there would be tiers of art. And I think that the first tier, the most valuable tier, would be the performance-based art. The second tier would be the memento, the things which have been left behind, the things which have been produced. And I rather suspect that the performance art would include making these illuminated manuscripts. And of course, it will be another way of teaching. But I suspect the main way of teaching would be not in a classroom setting, although I'm sure there would be classrooms, but more teaching through doing, teaching through storytelling, perhaps enacting stories. And so it'd be a lot more physical, a lot more movement, a lot more dynamic. Whereas over in the non-magical kingdom, I think it would be a lot more, shall we say, traditional, using logic, using the mind, book learning, as well as practical learning. And I think both of them in the non-magical kingdom, the practical and the book learning, would be highly sought. I think that learning under a master and learning from books written by masters, I think that would probably be the most valuable. And I suspect that it would vary from individual to individual, but books would be seen as the knowledge of a master, at least the school books, the textbooks, the knowledge of masters that you could not directly study under, maybe because they're dead centuries ago, or maybe because they don't have room for more students. And then you have your own master. And I suspect that these books would be in circulation. I also think that there might be a canon, particularly with the advent of the printing press. And so I think that would be their main form of literature. I think their main form of literature would not be mythology, but actually knowledge. And I think that's what they would value in the non-magical kingdom. But over in the magical kingdom, I suspect that it would be mythology and stories. And I think that the oral stories would be the highest form, as mentioned previously. But the written word, I think it would be more about recipes. So we have two very different cultures with different ways of looking at art and different ways of looking at literature. And I suspect that if the magical kingdom did record things, it's simply so it wouldn't be lost. Maybe sort of like taking the minutes in a meeting. So that's what we're going to be doing with our magical and non-magical kingdom. And I also suspect that the elves and the dwarves would, since they've mixed with the humans in the magical kingdom, they would have added quite a lot to the art. Now, where all of this art came from, I could define it and I could pinpoint it, but I'd rather leave it vague. I think it's more fun. And there'll be different fashions or seasons of art as well. Similar to how we had the Impressionists in our world, and similar how we've had the Romantic paintings, the landscapes and portraits and so on and so forth. We've had different eras of art. I think the same would be true in the Magical Kingdom, and I think that fashion would be a huge drive. But whether or not they adorn their clothes, well, we'll talk about that another time. So that's all I have time for today, but I wanted to make this video and have an update, and we will go from there. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our Discord server, particularly if you're interested in writing. If you want to learn how to write, if you want to be taught, get in touch with me. I'd love to have a chat with you. We do offer one-to-ones. We do offer group coaching. We have a whole array of services. We also have a resident illustrator and a resident editor. So if you need help, let us know. And we will see you next time. Bye for now.